Greetings, R. Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 2649, and this is Wednesday. Well, today we're going to be looking at what I've titled Iran's Bluff Ignored. So here's the little article as an entrance. Israel says it has killed Iran's intelligence minister in the Iranian capital, Tehran, just a day after further hacking away at Iran's top leadership by taking out the country's most senior security official and a paramilitary commander. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, said Ismail Kadabed Khatib had been killed, but offered no further details beyond a warning that significant surprises are expected throughout this day. The Israeli military separately said Khatib was taken out in a targeted strike and had for years helped suppress protests throughout Iran. So that's kind of the news of the day, but now we get into my opinion. As we always, I try to keep my opinions separate from the news itself, contrary to the way our press normally does things. So Iran continues its inept counterattack. Now, if you listen to the news or watch it, you might think this to be a battle between two titans. They're even, they're battling it out. But the truth is, one titan has already dropped to its knees day one. But pride keeps it from acknowledging what it knows. It is dying. Yes, the attacks of Iran on Israel and the region continue. And yes, people die. That is tragic. But compared to what is happening to Iran, it is minimal. It's in war, which is what we're in here. In war, there's always a possibility. And unfortunately, it's a expectation because rarely does anybody fight a war in which nobody dies. In fact, I don't know of any time that's ever happened. So, why did I title today's report as Iran's Bluff Ignored? Well, for one reason, they've been uh, talking very bravely. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. They were already doing some things. As I've mentioned before from here, is that it looks to me like it was all pre-planned. Everything was ready to go, so that as soon as we attacked them, they launched their counterattack. It was too fast to be otherwise, in my opinion. But I'm not a military man, and maybe there's a flaw in my thinking, but I don't think there is. So they did counterattack. And at first, it was wave after wave after wave of missiles and drones. But Israel managed to just knock down the majority of them. Some got through. Other countries were also attacked, countries that Iran views as allies of the United States and Israel, even though they're Arab. So they've had to fight back too, but they survived also. They suffered loss, they suffered damage, and I believe they lost people as well. But from day one until today's I believe this is the 19th day of the war. Their weaponry system, their ability to fight this battle has been largely stripped away. Most of their lethal weapons are gone. Now they have a limited supply of missiles and drones, but every day that goes by, they're using them, and every day that they use them, that supply diminishes. They have a limited supply of missiles and drones. Now, so I suppose in some cases the drones might be reusable. Missiles, not so much. Once they hit something and explode, they're kind of like done. Drones, depends upon what the kind of drones they are, what the drones do. If they fire, they can always go back and get reloaded. Then they maybe some do. But overall, those missiles and drones are being knocked out of the sky. That supply is diminishing daily. Not only is Israel preventing most of the missiles and drones heading away, but those other Arab nations are also batting them out of the sky. In today's news, as I looked at, there was reports of them doing that very thing, um, knocking them out. And there was no report of any of them breaking through and damaging or killing anybody. So the great response of the Iranian government is a bluff. It's mostly a bluff, and not even a good bluff. Because what you got to remember is for a bluff to work, your opponent has to believe that you have the ability to back it up. It must be a very real threat. But in Iran, while it is a real threat in the sense that they do still have missiles and they still have drones, it's not nearly as effective as day one. If they were going to knock out the countries, it would have happened then. I don't see it happening now. Well, the United States and Israel control the skies. Uh, there's no boots on the ground, at least from the United States. I can't really say for Israel, but they might. I don't know of any being on the ground in Iran. So their bluff is just doesn't have any reality. Compare that, for instance, President Trump. People say he doesn't bluff. Actually, he does. He does bluff. But you see, the thing is, like I said before, for a bluff to work, your opponent has to believe you're not bluffing, that you can back it up. For years, people have believed that Putin over in Russia had he had this nuclear weapon, all these nuclear weapons, and he had this huge army and air force and everything, and he could bluff. His bluffing isn't so much anymore. People are beginning to realize that he's a paper tiger, if you will. His bluff, thanks to his war in Ukraine, has been revealed to be very weak, paper thin, and you can't ignore it. But at the same time, you don't need to be fearful. It could happen any moment now. But while he is busy working on gaining an inch here or there, the European nations have been arming, been upping their quantity as well as quality of their weapons, and I believe even the quantity of their weapons. And they are supporting Ukraine. But they are also preparing, if Putin does make a mistake and attack them, that it will be the last mistake he makes. So, getting back to Iran, they have real missiles and they have real drones, but its effectiveness is disappearing daily, hourly. Simply put, it is not great. Now, when you read the media or listen to the media or watch the media, they don't have any proof of what they're saying. They speculate because they're not being included in the loop, so to speak. They're trying to make this into a failed mission by the United States and Israel. When you hear their reports, even if they report a successful strike, there's always that but. Or meanwhile, back at the ranch, they try to keep throwing all this negative stuff in there to make it look like this is a mistake and that the American people should get rid of the current administration. They don't say that, but when you read it and compare it to what's actually happening, what other opinion could you have? Now, Iran keeps losing key leaders as well as necessary weapons. But their great response is getting weaker by the day, maybe by the hour. And one has to wonder how much longer they can keep the people under their thumb, especially when you consider the thumb itself is in danger. So I to carry that little little bit further and under the thumb, Israel or the United States or both might just go boop, cut off the thumb. Um, I don't mean I'm not taking this lightly. Anybody who dies is tragic, and that's on both sides because there's a lot of soldiers there who are innocent of any wrongdoing. They simply have been forced. They've been drafted and are being forced to fight in a war they may not even believe in, and they are dying. Some are deserting. And I think that's true over in Russia as well. Uh, but the thing is that when you look at Iran, and they were another one of these ones in which when we looked at them, they were awesome. Well, on day one of this attack, their awesomeness departed. I think permanently. Now, they will they recover from this? I think they will. And will they be friends with Israel? Perhaps. The people want freedom. That doesn't mean they love Israel. They'll accept Israel's help and America's help, but that doesn't mean they love us. Uh, and so the future, if you look at it from a biblical standpoint, is that Israel will, rather Iran will join the forces coming down from Russia. Well, Russia's not in any position to come rushing down now, and Iran isn't either. And so those who, I've mentioned this before, the on-wall villages, I will stand my ground on that until somebody proves to me that I am wrong. And that has not happened. Yeah, it's a military term. You got to think in their term, in the terms of their time, back in the Old Testament and even the early New Testament. Wars were fought on the ground. They didn't have, they had their first version of a missile was a flaming arrow. They would siege cities. So if there's no wall, they don't have to lay siege to them. They just walk in. And walls were not permanent. Babylon found that out when the Medes and Persians came in through a water channel, came up into the city. And so you can go under the walls. It's difficult to go through them, and it's difficult to go over them. But that is what the walls are designed to do, is to keep the enemy out. An unwalled village is one at peace, one which doesn't believe they need a wall. They are at peace. And I do think there's going to be a time of peace for Israel. Very short-lived, but there'll be a time when they're going to put their trust in the wrong person, sign a treaty, and start dismantling their military establishment, including the Iron Dome. And when that happens, now that clock, that ticking clock, going to get closer and closer and closer. Will it happen in my lifetime? It could. Could the rapture happen in my time? It definitely could. Could happen today. The thing is this, that this war here is not mentioned in the Bible. And so that's why some people think that, well, if you move it over to Ezekiel 38, did it fit in there? Again, you have the problem of the unwalled villages. You have a very weakened Russia, a very weakened Iran, and China right now is not necessarily in its strongest position militarily. And this got its eyes primarily on Taiwan anyhow. So the circumstances don't seem to line up to me. Now, you have to remember, I'm not a military man. I'm not a scholar. I'm a student, still learning the Bible, still trying to interpret this and that and apply them where they belong to, should be applied to. But my understanding of the Bible is that it must be a time of peace for Israel. And they have not been at peace, and they are not at peace right now. Once they have that peace, then you'll see this happen, that war Ezekiel 38 happen. Whether it's before the rapture or after the rapture, the Bible doesn't say, and I'm not going to speculate. That's it for today. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. It's the latest news out of Iran. Uh, I know the prices of oil are still up there. But I don't know what it is in your area, but in my area, it has gone up, then stayed. It's actually dropped back down a little bit. And so it's not where it was. And I think it wants to go down, but the war is pushing it up. Natural tendency is for it to go down. And I think that once this war gets over with, you're going to see those prices come down. They never come down fast. They always go up fast and come down slow. So I would not say that it's going to come down fast, but it will come down, and it will be a trend that you'll see. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. But in the meantime, uh, continue to pray. Pray for our soldiers. We don't have any soldiers over there. We do have people in our planes. We do have people in stations around that area, and they are within reach of Iranian missiles and so forth. So there's still an area of concern, an area of danger there. Always is. But that is just something that you need to pray for them, especially if you have friends or relatives in the military. Be prayerful for them. And pray for our president. He needs guidance. He needs wisdom as this war goes forward. I think, contrary to the news media, we are seeing that he does have a plan, and it's unfolding actually faster than he thought it would. And so we'll just have to wait and see on that. Well, you have a great day, and remember that this show is always supported and broadcast to you by T&R Independent Books, a indie Christian publishing or publisher rather. And we offer to you, if you don't know how to write, we will train you and then publish you. If you know how to write, we are glad to publish you. What's the requirement? Well, we're Christian. So we want Christians. We want Christians who are active in the church. Does it have to be the gospel? No, it does not. Christian viewpoint. That's the focus. Well, you have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next episode.